Hello everybody. So I decided to create one tutorial for showing you how you can set up your AOVs, your passes inside Arnold, and then how you can extract them inside After Effects to create your final composition for the screwdriver assignment. So here I'm having this scene, a very simple scene. I'm having the backdrop, which is having this very smooth corner here, and then I'm having all of the lighting set up. Everything is already created. I'm also having my camera, and if I go back to my camera, you will see that this is my composition. I've also set up the basic passes for this scene, which includes the diffuse pass or the diffuse AOV, the specular AOV. I don't have any subsurface scattering. However, if you are using subsurface scattering for the grip of the screwdriver, you have to include that inside your AOVs. I'm also having, apparently this is not correct, let me get rid of this one. I'm also gonna have transmission here, okay? So these are the 4 passes that you have to include inside your scene. Again, the subsurface scattering is a pass that if you really have that applied to any of your objects, you have to include that. If you don't have that, you can just ignore that. You can just remove that from your scene. For this screwdriver, I'm having plastic material for the grip. I'm having 2 transparent shaders that are sort of a clear plastic here with the transmission attribute. So it has a transmission pass or transmission attribute. I'm also having the shaft, which is a total chrome shader, so it doesn't have any base color, or it doesn't have any transmission or subsurface scattering. For this scene, I'm not using any other attributes. I'm not using coat, I'm not using emission, nothing other than just specular, transmission, and base color, which is the diffuse color. So again, if you are using subsurface scattering for any material here, you can include that in your pass. You have to include that in your passes. If you are not, you won't need that. You won't need that. I'm going to remove that here. I also decided to add or create another pass for the ambient occlusion. So I'm going to create a custom AOV here and name it AO. And I'm going to select the node and grab the name of the shader for the ambient occlusion. I'm going to copy it and paste it here, default shader, hit enter. Okay, and now let's just see how the render will look like before doing the final render. Okay, so I'm using the progressive refinement for now. I've also included this sphere here because I wanted to see how my environment looks like. So at the end, we can just remove it. So I'm going to go through the passes that I have created here. This is my beauty pass, which is all of the passes all combined together. This is my diffuse pass. As you can see, only the grip is having a diffuse contribution, and also the backdrop. These 3 meshes, they don't have any contribution in the diffuse pass. Then we have the specularity, which is including all of the objects that are having any contribution in the specular pass, and as well as transmission. Okay. And this is also the AO pass that I manually created. And as you can see, it has some colors here. We can take care of them in post. For some reason, it will show some of the transmission contributions in the AO pass. I'm not sure why that is happening, but as I said, we can take care of that in the post-processing steps. So I'm going to save this file as a multi-layer EXR file format. I've already created one here. I'm going to just open that up because this is not the final render, and I also have to make sure that at the end I will increase my render resolution to 1920 by 1080. Alright, so I'm going to head back to After Effects, and I'm going to show you how you can extract these passes and how you can build up the same image and how you can leverage this build up. So let's head to After Effects. I'm going to import my EXR file, right? And I'm gonna click and drag it over make new composition to create a composition based off of the same size of the file that I have rendered. Okay. So here's my file. All right. So this one single render is called the beauty pass, which means that it will include all of your passes all combined together to show you the final result of your render. However, the whole purpose of creating all of those AOVs was that we wanted to be able to modify or add more effects to our renders in, for example, After Effects or any compositing tool. And the reason we do that is that sometimes in order to be able to, for example, create some cool effects or some glow effect or some visual effects through our renders, if we want to do all of them inside our 3D package, it will take forever to do the rendering, or maybe it takes forever to set that up. However, if you are having access to the passes of our render, we can start manipulating each one of these passes individually. So I'm going to show you what I mean. So we know that this EXR file format includes or has all of the passes, the base color, the specular color, and all of those passes all inside this one single file. So we have to figure out how we can extract that from this EXR file. Inside After Effects, there is an effect called extractor. So you can apply that to your layer, and immediately you can see that it will turn the whole image to be a little bit darker. That's fine. Again, that's because it will take out the gamma correction from this layer, because it understands that we want to do some manual build up for all of these passes. So I'm going to talk about how linear workflow works, but for now I'm just showing you what happens when you want to build up all your beauty pass based off of all the passes inside After Effects. Again, just right after you apply the extractor effect to your layer, it will take out the gamma correction from your render, and it will allow you to start building up or adding your layers or passes all together. Okay, so for this one, since this is going to be my base color, I'm gonna go and click on either one of these red, green, blue channels to bring up this extractor menu. And here I'm gonna choose from all of these passes or AOVs that I have included inside my Maya file. I know that I have also included transmission indirect, diffuse direct, and all of these extra passes. You really don't need that for now. We just need to have a specular, transmission, diffuse, AO, and if you had any subsurface scattering, your subsurface scattering pass will also show up here. So I'm going to start with the diffuse, which is my base color. So I'm going to choose diffuse. And you can see that since the only material in my scene that had the contribution for the diffuse pass was the backdrop and also this shaft here, everything else will turn black. The shaft also turns black, but it's not actually black. It's there, but since it's not gamma corrected, it's not showing up. So if I want to quickly show that, I can temporarily increase my exposure here in order to just be able to see the shaft. As you can see, the shaft is here. It's not black. It has some contribution for the diffuse color. Okay, so I'm going to name this one base color or diffuse. Okay. I'm going to duplicate this layer by hitting Ctrl D or Command D, and it will carry the effect that is applied to the layer also, so that's the good thing. However, I'm going to name it, for example, this one, I'm going to name it specular, and from all of those layers that are inside the EXR file, I'm going to choose specular. Okay, so this is my specular pass. I'm going to duplicate it one more time. I'm going to name this transmission. And again, it has the effect applied to it. I just need to select the correct pass. So this is transmission. I'm going to select transmission. Okay. The only thing that contributes to the transmission pass is these two plastic handles. And I know that I also included the AO pass, so I'm going to create another one by duplicating one of these layers and selecting the AO pass. Okay, this is our AO pass. Also, if you had a subsurface scattering material, you can duplicate it one more time and choose the subsurface scattering. Again, since none of my materials had any kind of subsurface scattering, I decided to not include that inside my passes. So I'm going to remove this one. Okay, so let's see how we can build up our final beauty image out of these different passes. For now, I'm just going to take out the AO pass and just focus on the transmission, spec, and diffuse. All right, so again, just going over all of these passes, this is my base color. Then I need to add the specularity contribution, and this is going to be in linear workspace. We just need to add the contribution of specularity to the diffuse pass. So I'm gonna go to the blending mode and choose add from this list. Okay. So this is without a specularity, this is with a specularity. Okay. Then it's time to do the or add the transmission effect. So I'm gonna make it visible. And again, since we are inside linear workflow, we have to choose add from the blending mode. All right. So this is without, and this is with transmission. Cool. And we already know that whenever we want to apply any contact shadow to our render, we have to choose the multiply blending mode, because we want to have these shadows which are dark to darken our final render. So we will choose multiply. Okay. This is without, and this is with contact shadows. All right. So technically, we just created our beauty pass. Again, just to compare that to our final beauty render here, I'm going to click and drag our final render here. And this is our final render. If I hide it, you will see that we sort of recreated this beauty render. The only thing that is missing here is that we need to apply the gamma correction again to the whole composition, because right now we took out the gamma correction because of the extractor effect that we've applied to all of these layers. It's now time to get the gamma correction back into business. So I'm going to create a new adjustment layer, and I'm going to name it gamma. And here in my effects panel, I'm going to type in exposure effect, and I'm going to apply exposure to the adjustment layer, which I called it gamma. And here I can type in gamma of 2.2 or any other gamma that I want to have for my final composition. Now it's time to compare the whole setup here to our final beauty render. As you can see that we are almost close to our beauty pass here. And here is the look of our setup that we've created inside our compositing software. So again, going back to what it means by creating all of these AOVs and how we can leverage them, you have to make sure that you will start with the diffuse or the base color, no blending mode for the diffuse pass. However, for any other additional pass, you have to choose the add blending mode for them, because we want to add all of these contributions. And then at the end, you have to make sure that you will do the gamma correction manually again. So here's our final render. So what is the point of creating all of these passes again? I mean, we already had this beauty pass, this final render already created. What's the point of separating these passes, or what's the point of creating those passes and then bringing them inside After Effects or our compositing tool and then separating the passes? The point here is that now you have access to every single pass of your render, and you can modify them individually without affecting the rest of them. So for example, now that I'm having access to the transmission pass, One thing that I can do, for example, this is just an example. I can duplicate the transmission, and as you can see, it will increase the contribution of the transmission, and it will make my plastic parts to be a little bit more shiny. Cool. One more thing, we can add, for example, a glow effect to just the transmission pass. All right, so now I'm having the glow effect. I'm gonna increase its intensity, and also I'm going to, I guess, decrease the threshold of it, so more colors are going to show up in the final glow effect. Still, I'm not getting that much of result here. I'm not sure what's going on. Let me see. Yeah, it's showing up here. Okay. You're kind of seeing the effect of this glow effect on these edges here. So I'm going to reduce the threshold more. Yeah. Okay. I guess it's too much now. Also, one more thing that you have to be careful about is that since we are using the gamma correction effect, we are using all of these glow effects and all of those, you have to make sure that you are inside a composition that can treat all of these extra information that we are having with all of these passes. So for example, if I go back to my glow effect and just increase the intensity dramatically, so we can see the effect of it. I hope that YouTube compression is not taking out these issues that I'm seeing here, that I want to show you how you can get rid of them. So right now, just because of this glow effect, you will see that there is a kind of, not noise, but it's color banding, and it's not the way that it's supposed to. That's because this composition is not able to calculate all of those extra information that you have rendered out in your EXR format. So in order to be able to fix that, we have to make sure that we are inside a composition that have more bit depth and can actually treat all of those color information that we included in the EXR file. To fix this issue, you have to just tell Aftereffects that we are having too many information inside this composition. So you find them and make sure that we are having all of the contribution from all of those color values that we carried inside the EXR file. So in order to fix that, we just need to change our bit depth to be a 32-bit depth. So you can just click on this 8-bit per channel button. It will bring up your composition, your project settings, and you just need to change your depth, bit depth to be a 32-bit depth. Okay. Give it some time, and now you can see that the glow effect is now shining here. We are not seeing that kind of banding effect here anymore. Okay, so I'm going to go back to 8-bit per channel just to show you the difference. I can also hold down Alt and click on this to switch between 8-bit, 16-bit, and 32 bits. Definitely you can see the difference here. Okay? So make sure that you are inside a 32 bits per channel composition in order to be able to see all of the effects that you are applying to your composition. So now that we are seeing the result of it, I'm gonna just decrease the radius of it because I just increased that so you can see the effect of it. And I'm gonna switch or toggle through this glow effect so you can see the difference. So this is with, this is without, and this is with the glow effect. Okay? If it's too much, you can always go back and reduce the intensity. We were not able to do this if we were just having one beauty pass, one layer. This is the beauty of creating all of these AOVs, these passes. You can have individual control of every single pass of your render. I'm going to just fix some of these attributes for the glow effect. Okay. That's cool. Let's see what else we can do here. We have transmission, we have spec. Let's do something with the specularity. So I'm going to duplicate the spec layer. You can see that it will add more contribution from the specularity. I'm going to reduce the opacity of the second layer, so it's not that intense. All right, and then I can, for example, do this. I'm going to not apply a glow effect, but I'm going to apply a blur effect, a fast blur. Now I'm going to enable repeat edge pixels and just increase the blurriness of it. And then I'm also increasing the opacity of this layer so we can see the effect of it, and then we can go back into it. So this is the spec with the fast blur effect applied to it. Remember, this is the second spec layer. The original spec layer is already here. This is the second one. I just added that to apply a fast blur effect to that, to get this kind of hollow effect around all of the specular highlights. And then I'm going to reduce its opacity to something very low. You don't want to overdo that. So just for the sake of comparison, I'm going to toggle through the second specularity with this fast blur effect applied to it. Okay. Cool. Again, we were not able to do that if we didn't have these passes. Cool. One more thing, we also included the AO pass. I wanted to also talk about that. If I enable the AO pass, it's already multiplied to the whole chain here. So this is without and this is with the AO pass. I will solo that so we can just focus on the AO pass. You can see that I mentioned that the AO pass is not supposed to have any color contribution inside it. However, I'm not sure why the Arnold passes is actually doing this. Sometimes it will do that, sometimes it will not. As you can see, we are having all of the transmission effects inside the AO pass, which is not good. So there is a workaround for that. We can apply a tint effect. Tint. And if you just take out the contribution of any colors that you have here. So now it's a grayscale pass. I will unsolo that. All right. We know that it's too intense, so I just need to decrease the intensity of the AO pass. Okay. Just a slight contact shadow would be enough. It's more than enough. Just to bring up some more details of our geometry and also adding some contact shadows to our render. So that's about it. We created these passes. Again, whenever you want to build up your final beauty pass, make sure that you're starting with the diffuse pass, then specularity, transmission, SSS, and all of those passes, they will be added to your diffuse pass. And then if you wanted to boost them up, you can duplicate any pass that you want, and you can apply any effect that you want to each one of these separate layers. Also, since we are on this concept of creating different passes, another benefit of creating all of these passes is that anytime that you want to change any color of any of these contributions, you can just select that. For example, I'm going to just focus on this transmission here. You can select that and change its color by, for example, applying a hue and saturation effect to that. Okay. You can increase the saturation immediately here, and you can also change the hue by switching between different options that you have here. See, I'm just affecting the transmission pass. Okay. So these are all the effects and all of these passes that I wanted to talk about. It's time to save your file. You can go to Composition, Save Frame As File, and make sure that you will save it as a PNG file or JPEG file format. If you are choosing JPEG file format, make sure that you increase your quality to the highest quality that you can. So the quality is 10 here. Then you can click on this here and tell After Effects where you want to save your file, and then hit render.